We get in. Here we go. Now we're live, baby. And Chandler's
We are
looking like a
live.
ghost still, fuzzy as can be. You need to ask your landlord for some money back on that Wi-Fi connection.
Is it that bad right now? Dude, he's right over there. Let's go in there and knock on his door and
Tell
tell
him
him,
right
bro,
now.
you
Go
gotta
knock
step
on
this
him.
stuff up. Mike.
No, so anyway,
Alright,
here we go. We'll let some people get in here.
Cool.
Let's get this baby started. Big Clint got that Yeti mic that I need to buy. I need to get one too.
Is that what brand this is?
I think so. Is it? Maybe I'm fantasizing.
Nope, it's a blue.
Oh, blue.
Blue.
I thought
I don't
that.
know.
Okay,
Blue.
I don't know.
I think blue Yeti is a thing though. That's what it is.
Maybe it is. I don't know. My wife picked it out.
It's all right. At least you're looking better than us right now. All freshed up, looking clean. What's up, man? So, yeah, Chandler, if you want to start it off, introduce who we have.
All right, yeah, we got Clint, the closer, on the show today. We're excited to have him. I mean, dude, crush. You guys read
Here
the
we go.
tab.
And Chandler, you're
30 plus
blowing up
flips
again.
and- oh, are we lagging? Bro.
All right, I'll take it over. So we got Big
All right,
Clinty
it's a neck.
today.
Finish it
Big
then.
Clint, man. The Clint, the man himself. Mr. MVP, the GOAT. No, but for real, Clint, tell us a little bit about yourself and I guess your journey before real estate, just what you were, doing and, some things that you learned from that previous journeys or, just your previous life before real estate that's helped you now into where you've become. And then you can share where you've came in real estate over the short time.
Cool. Yeah. So yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. But yeah, so I went to college just like a normal kid. Got a degree in business management. Didn't learn anything in college other than how to network and how to have fun. So post college, I went to work for my dad owns a freight brokerage, and my plan was originally to be the owner of that company one day. Work my way up and be the owner, and I was on track to do that. I started a business, a sports information business with my buddy, and me and him did that for about 4 years. I ended up leaving my dad's company because it was going so well, and then decided to part ways there. It was a great experience. I learned a lot about entrepreneurship. I learned a ton of things about running a business, and super good experience. And when I decided to leave that company, I sold my house and ended up making like over 100K just selling my house, and I owned it for 1 year. So as soon as I sold it, I was like, I had to figure out what I was going to do next. I sold it and made that 100K, and I was like, maybe real estate's it. So I joined Ryan Pineada's Future Flipper program back in, I guess it was November of 2020, and took a little time off. I took his course and was learning a little bit. Took a time off in December 2020. I started hustling, and since then I've bought my 30th flip a couple weeks ago, and things are going really good with real estate. I love it. It's been an adventure. It's just a fun game. I was big into sports growing up, and real estate is just another game for me. So
yeah, that's a good analogy right there. All we're doing here is we're playing a game. Just who can find that properties, who can do that, especially wholesaling. Who can find the properties and who can sell them for more. But I think that was interesting that you started out by you made that 100K on the house. How did that go about? How did you find that house? How did that because I know that was
that was literally my personal home. Like I lived
know
there.
that's crazy.
Bought it just on market and just natural appreciation. The market's been pretty crazy for the past couple of years. Just natural appreciation. I sold it for like 150K more than I bought it for. Ended up making like a little over 100K on it. And yeah, so it was just an eye-opening experience. That you can make a lot of money in real estate quickly, and you don't have to do too much. Now that I'm full into real estate, I'm obviously doing a lot more. But it's still the same game though. Like, I'm doing things a little bit differently, but if you hold properties over time, they're going to naturally appreciate and you're going to make a lot of money from it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So you said you basically you sold that house and then you got into the Future Flipper with Ryan Pineada. how'd you find that? Did you just go on YouTube? Like, what got you into the investing side?
Found old Pineada on TikTok. So
Hey, TikTok.
Hey,
saw some of his videos, and I was just like, when picking like a coach, I think it's really important to align, like have similar views and values of that person. And Pineda was that guy. He was a former athlete. I was big into sports as well. I didn't get to the level he was. He got to the pros for a little bit, but he reminded me a lot of myself, and it just made sense. He was a few years older than me, so I decided to join his program. It was, I think when I joined, it was like 12,500, and now it's like 25 or 30 grand to join his program now. But it was just, there's no way if I didn't hire him, I would be at my 30th flip now. I may be on 2 or 3 at this point in my life.
Really, yeah.
It just shortens the learning curve so much. And, I hired you guys, a couple weeks ago to come in my office and teach me. And, that was just a game changer. Like, if you're starting to make money and you have money to invest in your education, you totally should, because it just shortens that learning curve so much compared to trying to figure it out on your own.
Yeah,
100%. And I guess
we harp on it a lot, right? Chandler, is just like, what we're doing here, what we're investing in, that education. It's not just that, a lot of people look at it like you were talking about, I think before me and you talked about, it's just an expense, but reality is the time you save in that learning curve, like you talked about, Clint, that, speeds everything up. It's game changer. I mean, that's how you went. Exactly. That's a good example. How you would have been doing 2 or 3 deals by now. You're at 30 just by spending 12 grand.
Yeah.
Even if you spent the 30 grand, you would still be
100%. And hiring you guys, to come into my office and teach me your sales process and everything. I mean, that's just going to shorten that learning curve so much versus us wasting money on marketing and not getting deals from it. You guys came in and taught me how you guys do it, and that's going to make me so much money. The money I paid you guys is an investment. It's going to make me so much more money just by doing that. And I think people get, caught up and, spending 4 or 5 grand on something, or, 10 grand. But if it can make you, 2x, 3x, 4x, 5x, and so on, it's totally worth it. It just shortens that curve. And, instead of you spinning your wheels for months and months, you can get, way ahead so much quicker doing that. So,
and instead of spinning your wheels for this couple of months, you just like that next month, you could take that opportunity, and then depending on how big your deals are, and then that's your return on investment. It could take you 3 months to learn it, or you could learn it today. And that's the cool thing too, is if you learn like from the education, like what you're supposed to do, what it looks like to be successful, all you got to do is just implement it.
Yep.
And it's not rocket science at all.
Yeah, just take action. Literally, yeah. I'm not to talk like great about myself or anything, but I'm an action taker. I like, when I have an idea to do something, I do it right then. I make it happen. And so many people, are worried about, the risk and things that could go wrong, and they get, analysis paralysis. And it's just, when I learn something, I'm going to implement it right then. I'm not going to waste my time. I'm going to take action right then and start to work. And honestly, with my journey right now, I kind of got complacent with my learning. I've done 30 flips now, but I hadn't joined another coaching program since Ryan's. And meeting with you guys, told me, I'm joining Collective Genius now, because I know to keep leveling up, you've got to continue that education. You can't just get complacent with where you're at. If you really want to get somewhere far in this, like, you've got to continue to educate yourself. And that's just a huge help to shortening that curve of getting where you want to go.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing I've learned too from like Steve, is talking to me, Steve Trang, and all the guys on this podcast. I think Steve makes a big point about this. Is a lot of those people on that podcast, probably 100% of them, really all of them, all have one thing in common, is that they take massive action. They put their faith in themselves, and they're willing to go all the way in and take that action. And there's a lot of people that are seeing it, like you talk about analysis paralysis, that just, get caught up, and they need to get an LLC. They need to get a contract first. Before they get a contract, they need a copy of one. All this stuff will prevent you. But what we've seen, and, I think this is in general, I think I read it in a book too. It's like even the highest performers, like Elon Musk, he started Tesla. He did it. He committed to it. He started his other, businesses. but he did it, by taking massive action. He didn't go in halfway foot. Hey, let's think about building this. Let me get the blueprints out of this. And no, he went all in. So like, that's a big thing we can see from the high performers is that massive action taking. And if you don't have it now, hear it from books. It's not just us saying that this is a well thing. Try to start adapting to that. Take that action, don't be fearful.
For sure. Yeah. And, I learned a lot of that from my previous business that I was in before getting into real estate. I learned, my partner taught me a lot about, taking that action immediately. When you have an idea, don't put it off till next week. Do it right then, because you'll get so much further ahead if you implement that action right away. So yeah, but just to go on a little bit about my real estate journey and where I'm at now, I'm honestly taking a step back from where what I've done so far, because I know I've done a lot of, I know you guys talk about selling to Open Door. I've done a lot of that this year, buying houses and selling them to the hedge funds. And that's not going to be around forever. So I'm really taking a step back and really working on getting my off-market leads coming in and closing more deals that way, because I've been buying from wholesalers. I've been buying from realtors. And I've done a little off market during my time, but I just know for me to succeed in long term, I've got to figure this part of the business out, because Open Door is not going to be around buying forever. These hedge funds are going to be around buying forever. So I've really focused on taking a step back. Yeah, we had a great 2021. We made a lot of money, but for me to succeed next year and the year after that, I've got to learn the sales process and how to acquire off-market leads and whatnot. And you guys did an awesome job of explaining your process. So super thankful for that.
Yeah, I appreciate you allowing us to teach some stuff to your team. And I think that's a good point there is, if you start becoming complacent and you start just, not adapting, and that's another big thing that people do. We're quick to change. A lot of high level entrepreneurs, we got to adapt and quick to change. And I think that's a perfect example of what you're doing. You need to get better. Open Door won't be there forever. We know that finding those leads from realtors, wholesalers won't be there always, right? So now adapting to that direct to seller and being available and to start taking out leads, I think that's a big shift for you. That's going to lead to massive success.
For sure.
Agree.
For sure.
And agree 100%. I got really lucky, entering this real estate market in 2021 when it's just been crazy. My properties, from the time I bought them, and I do the rehab and whatnot, 3 months later, there's new comps that push my ARV up, 50K, 75K. So I've been really blessed with the timing of this, but I know that these days aren't going to be around forever. So I'm adapting. I know that, you've got to be constantly changing your marketing strategies, got to be constantly, adapting to the market because it does fluctuate. But it's like you said before, it's a game. It's a fun game. So.
For sure. And joining a group like Collective Genius will make that pretty easy because everyone in there is focused on the same thing. So it's like you don't even really think about it.
Yep.
It's just like people are just like, oh, yeah, this is what's going on. And you're like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Let's do this.
Yeah,
and then you just got to implement almost.
Yeah. And I want to say something too, because Clint was one of the first guys that really, it was Darren, one of our TDI guys, and Clint were the ones that gave me proof of concept. At least Clint gave me the proof of concept of Open Door selling. So I'm Open Door posting. So a lot of that credit goes to Big Clinty over there.
Yeah, no, of my 30 flips this year, and I call them flips, but 16 of them I've just bought and sold them to Open Door because they were offering me, and I was buying deals, and just going back to implementing new things and learning the strategy of acquiring off-market property. I was buying bad deals because I knew I could sell it to Open Door at the prices they were offering. Because they, that period from March to July or so, their offers were just above market value. Yeah. So I really leaned into that. I bought so many properties during that short period of time because I was doing that, and then I ended up losing money on a few because their offers started getting lower and lower. And now they're still great to sell to. And I'm still selling to them, and I'm going to ride it till the wheels fall off. But their offers aren't as strong as they were from that March period to July. So,
sure. Yeah, we experienced some of the same stuff too. Trying to get a little over aggressive on some crappy properties.
Yep.
You just wouldn't normally want in your portfolio. So
for sure. Yeah, but I'm going to continue selling to them. I've got one under contract to sell to them now. It's just it's hard to beat the process of not having to do a rehab on a property. And being able to do really well. You can
sure.
own a property for 15 days or even less if you play it right.
Exactly.
And it's just, quick, easy money.
So we have a
100%.
question here too, from I think Gian. Is she says, how are you able to scale at at that level?
I would say having previous business experience. I was in the sports business for over 4 years, and I learned a ton during that time. And then also I had some money, so I wasn't in a financially stressed position. I was able to invest money and not worried about the risk as much as some people would. But at the same time, though, I still feel like even if I didn't have the money, I would still be in a great place right now just because I'm an action taker and I'm willing to try new things and I'm willing to constantly try to adapt. I think that's the key is just being able to invest in your education and then be a big action taker. I think those are all the keys you need to be able to scale to this level.
I like that.
Yep. Just listen to people who are wiser than you and what you want to do. And
absolutely.
It's just,
you never want to be the smartest person in a room. Exactly. I always try to get in rooms that, I'm like Ryan Pineada, for instance. He has a rookie program and an all-star program. I started out straight with the all-star program and I knew nothing about real estate. So it worked out well for me though.
Yeah, there you go. And John, I'm sorry, I said Gian. It's John. My boy John. Is Clinton one state or multiple?
I'm just in Georgia. I haven't bought. I'm starting to venture out a little bit and look. I would buy wholesale deals in other states. I probably wouldn't do flips where I'm rehabbing, but I'm really focused on getting this market down. Figuring out what it takes to be successful in this market, and then I'll start to move to other markets.
Gotcha.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess a question for me is like, you guys are doing mostly flips. You've talked about, getting your off market going on. What are you trying to shift more towards wholesale in the future? You think you're going to mostly flip those off market deals or just whatever kind of makes sense?
Yeah. So I think the way I want, everybody has a different appetite of what they like in investing. Some people like to just wholesale. They could have the ability to flip, but they just like wholesaling better.
Yeah.
My appetite's kind of gearing towards flipping luxury properties, those $500,000 plus properties and up, and even up, over $1 million. Like a few weeks ago, I bought an $890,000 house in Sandy Springs that we're going to do a $350K renovation to and should sell for $1.7 million. So it's a big deal. But I think I really like my appetite shifting towards I want to wholesale more entry level type homes and flip the luxury ones with the big ginormous spreads. That's just where I'm at right now, and I'm sure that appetite will change, as I grow and as I get further in my real estate investing career. But for right now, that's kind of where I think I'm headed. I definitely want to wholesale more. Out of the 30 deals I've done this year, I've only wholesaled one deal, and I pretty much got my hand held through that. So I definitely want to get more involved with that. I don't think it's anything more complicated than flipping. It's just being able to acquire those off-market properties and being direct to seller. And that's what I'm really focused on right now.
So you said you like the appetite for those luxury properties. Like, is it like, what about it attracts you to it?
Honestly, I just like the transformations of the luxury properties. Like when you do an entry level flip, you're putting basic granite, basic finishes in it. And it's just it doesn't catch anybody's eyes. I like the stuff that's done on HGTV. I grew up watching all that. And I just like the look of the $1 million plus house. I mean, who doesn't? But
I know, right?
Yeah, and getting in that luxury space, you have bigger spreads. You're not going to have, I'm not going to buy $1 million house and make 50K on it. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to make over 100K on all those. As long as everything goes smooth. Like when I'm evaluating the deal, I'm going to make sure I can make over 100K on the property if I'm going to buy $1 million property, and most likely more. Like for that Sandy Springs deal I'm doing right now, and hopefully it goes well and the numbers all line up, but we should make over $300,000 on that one property. So it's awesome. You can have it hit a big home run. It's no different than flipping entry level, except in terms of you need more high quality workers, and you just have to I hired an interior designer for it. It's going to cost me about $3,000 to $3,500, but she's going to pick out all the finishes, so I don't have to do research and see what's going on in the market. She's already in the market. I'm paying her $3,500, and it's going to make me thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah, so, for sure.
I just like the look of the luxury houses. I'm doing a couple lake houses right now, and
Nice.
yeah, it's just I just like it better.
Can we expect a TV show?
I don't know. I don't know about that. I got a long ways to go before something like that happens. But
So you're talking about buying these $890,000 house. How are you doing that? Like, how are you
um,
getting your money?
how am I funding? I'm doing it all through private lending now. When I first started, like I said, I did have money to risk in the beginning, and I was using a bank for construction loans. And the biggest issue with them was I had to put up 25% of purchase price. They would cover 75% of the purchase and 100% of the rehab. They would give great terms, like pretty much the lowest rates you can get for a fix and flip loan. But the problem was I was having to come out of cash, and as I wanted to scale, that wasn't working. So I started working on raising private money. Now I go to closings that I'm going to flip, and I get a check back for the rehab. So I bought a house on Lake Oconee. I bought it for $435,000. I went to closing and got a check for $80,000 for the renovation. So I had zero money in that deal. It's just so much. It's so much easier to be able to scale, and it also allows you to do more with the cash that you do have. So private money is absolutely the way to go. It does take some skill to learn how to raise it, but it's just like any other thing in sales. It's just being able to present an opportunity for these people with money, and a lot of people that have money are happy to make 8 to 12% on their money. They're very happy to do that.
So drop this. I think that's going to be a big help for people watching this and the recording. Is like, where do you start out in finding private money? Like, what would you do over? And I mean, I would now still, but.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I did was go to anyone I knew that was close to me in my network that had money. So, like, for instance, my first private lender I got, it's one of my best friend's dads. He owns a commercial HVAC company. So I went to him, and he had actually already lent money to some other members and friends of his family, not specifically for house flips, but for construction and some other things, commercial buildings. So he was already familiar with lending, so that helped. But now that I have my foot in the door with him, I can explain how he's being successful to the next person. So I have actually 3 people that lend to me now, private lenders, and 2 of the guys are second position or first position. They'll cover 100% of the purchase and 100% of the rehab.
That's
and then
nice.
I've got a guy, if those are strapped for cash, I've got a guy that does second position. So I'll get a hard money loan from, say, Lending Home or someone else, and he'll just cover the down payment. So it's just so much nicer having that cash available, because at one point this summer, I remember I had, I think, over $600,000 of my own money out in deals, and I was like, this has got to change. This has got to change.
Yeah.
That's when I really started focusing on it, and now I'm just not having any cash in the deals. It's just a lot better for the business.
I don't want to get too much in detail about it, because I don't like when people ask me that much. But how are you pitching I don't want to say your terms. What are the terms you're getting? But like, what can someone expect to, like, what should they offer to a lender at first? Like,
so I typically, the way I do it now, I offer just a flat 10%. If they're going to be a first position lender for me, I offer them a flat 10%. They're secured by the property. The worst thing that could possibly happen is I get foreclosed on and they get the property, which I'm already buying properties for a good deal. Like, I'm already buying, properties at discount. So they're just getting a good deal. The worst case scenario. Now, I don't think that's ever going to happen. I pray it doesn't ever happen, but I explained to them that's the worst case scenario. And you have to pitch it as an opportunity. Do you have money sitting on the sidelines doing nothing for you, sitting in a bank account earning basically 0% interest? And that's what I pitched them. I'm like, instead of that money sitting in your bank account and your savings doing nothing for you, you could be earning 10% on it annualized by lending on my house flips. And, obviously the person's got to have a decent amount of money. I typically won't work with someone unless they have $50,000 or more. And those are typically second position people. But my 2 primary private lenders that do first position, their net worths are millions and millions of dollars. I think I could even do a better job of raising even more money. I just don't need it right now. There'll be a point where I'll need to go out and raise more money, but you can find private lenders from family, friends, actual family, just anyone in your network that has money. And I think anyone watching this show right now, they know somebody that has money. You just have to pitch it in a way that it's an opportunity for them versus a risk.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that's like anyone. I mean, you live in a savings account, it's losing money every year on interest. I mean,
Inflation.
inflation.
And
And all that. It's like
inflation, yeah.
inflation was like 3% last, or 2.5% last month.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's
So
a
Clint,
lot.
though, how are you pitching? Are you just telling them straight up, like, hey, look, I'll give you 10%. What is there any prepayment penalties on it? Is it just 10%?
It's just 10% annualized interest. That's it.
So if you sell it in 2 months,
Yeah, exactly. So like, for instance, if you lend $200,000 to me for 12 months, which obviously house flips don't take that long, that lender's gonna make $20K.
Yeah.
I think it's the safest investment someone can make to earn 10%, because stocks, they're going to go up, down. This is secured by the house. I literally think it's the safest way to earn 10% on your money. I think obviously I'm a young guy. I'm into crypto and all sorts of things that you can get, crazy returns. But most of the people that have money are going to be older and they want safer investments. And this is pretty much as safe as it can get for earning 10% on your money.
Yeah, for sure. So are you paying like monthly interest of like 0.8% or whatever?
Yeah, it's all deferred. So I don't pay.
I'm deferred too.
Yeah, I'm not making any monthly payments. All the money it's all paid off when I sell the home. So and that is a key too for anyone who wants to raise private capital. Always try to pitch deferred interest, because these these guys with multi-millions, they're not worried about making a $1,500 interest payment. They're not concerned about it. They're fine with just getting it in on the back end, and it's way less headache for me to have to keep up with and get them checks. So the deferred interest is definitely the way to go. 100% recommend that if you can get it.
Yeah, I haven't even tried to pitch that. So
just put it on the HUD. That makes a lot of sense. It's easy to keep track of for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
That's like one annoying things. Like we just like a bunch of cash apps and Venmos going out.
Yeah, it's just too much to deal with, in my opinion. And that's what Pineada taught me when I was in his program. He's like, I always look for deferred interest. I don't want to be keeping up with payments. He's doing 40, 50 flips at a time right now. Imagine keeping up with all those interest payments. It'd just be a headache. It'd be a job. So just deferred interest is so much simpler.
Yeah, I like that.
How are you pitching the rehabs? You're just telling them it's going to be $80,000. It's private lenders, so they're not as strict, but like in terms of like knowing what it's going to cost each one, but you just tell them, hey, now this is what it's going to cost me, $80,000. Do you send them a sheet?
Honestly, no. I give them a breakdown of the numbers. I send them an email, give them a breakdown of the numbers, and they just say yes or no. And I really haven't had any of them say no yet. And generally, I'll request for more, and I recommend anyone doing this too, even if you're getting a hard money loan. Request for more rehab than you actually expect, because if those problems come up and you're strapped on cash, you want to make sure to have some reserves available in case a foundation issue that he didn't know was there comes up. I always recommend overfunding a little bit of the deal because just in case you get in trouble. So and another thing I do with my private lenders, before I met with them, I've put together a lender packet. It's basically just a company overview, shows the team members in my company, tells a little bit about everyone, and then goes through 5 or 6 deals. I can't remember the exact number, but 5 or 6 deals I've done. And it explains, the profit, how we found the deal, everything. And then the last page is like a summary of how the lending works. 10%, if you lend 10% for me, $300,000 at 10% for 3 months, you get X amount of return. So it's just a simple breakdown and a professional packet for them to look over to help sell yourself.
I like that.
Yeah, that's good for sure. Especially like you said, you're dealing with people who are a little more old fashioned and they like things to the T and all this.
100%
clientele.
They want to see things.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
Feel it.
So right now, okay.
We got one question for you, and then we get you, Chandler. Do you just flip houses, or do you flip land too?
I haven't gotten to any land deals. I've thought about getting into new construction because I've got a buddy in Nashville that's doing it. He's doing it at a really high level, and he said it's the easiest thing in the world to do. I haven't done it yet personally. I haven't acquired any land deals and ended up wholesaling or selling it. So I don't have any experience there, but that's something that I'm going to add down the road. But specifically, not to get off topic here, but I think a lot of people try to get involved in too many things at once versus focusing on one thing and getting really good at that one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got a partner in this business now, and he's talking about, building these Airbnb tree houses up in the North Georgia mountains and building new construction. Yeah. I'm focused on this one thing and getting good at this one thing. And I think that's so important. People get shiny object syndrome and want to try different things. If you just focus on one thing and be the best at it that you can be, you're going to be a lot more successful than being average at, 15 things. So anyone listening, don't get distracted with shiny object syndrome. Make sure to stay focused on one goal and make that, everything to you at that time.
Yeah, I think that's for sure one of the most important things. Like even for us, like when we're doing the flips to open door, like having if you start having a team and other people doing stuff, relaying to them how this new process works. It's like it doesn't just click, like snap your fingers on 2 seconds and they figure it out. So it doesn't just translate as easy as you think it does. So it slows you down more. There's less scalable, because how are you going to teach someone to do 12 different things? Like something simple, like my dad does landscape construction stuff, so he builds retaining walls, patios, and like he was like, dude, I want to do more. I was like, well, you do like 20 services right now, so like how are you going to ever teach someone to do all 20? He's like, well, yeah, that's true. He's like, so I mean, in order to scale, you can scale one product really pretty far. I mean, you can get to 7 figures plus on one product, 100%. Because you master the marketing, you master the lead intake, you master the sales, the fulfillment, and all that, and you know exactly how it works, and it's like really well oiled. I mean,
yep.
So it's like, another guy I like to watch on YouTube, and Clint, I don't know if you ever watched him, but anyone out there watching, is Alex Hermosi.
I love Hermosi.
He talks about he talks about this stuff all the time. But his business, they're doing like 85 million. And he's like, dude, on one service, one product, we did like 20 million or something stupid like in a year.
Yeah,
like it's just like
one marketing channel, one product. You can literally do $1 million doing one thing.
Exactly.
And just so many people get distracted, and it takes away from the main thing. That's why I'm like 100% committed. I'm not really going to do anything else other than figure out how to acquire off-market properties at a high rate, and that's like my total focus now. And I'm not gonna get into new construction right now. And like I've had people pitch me on that and whatnot. I'm not getting into it. I'm focused on this one thing because I think it's going to take me the furthest for now. I can get into other stuff down the road, but right now I'm focused on scaling this, being really good at this.
Mm-hmm. And I think like something I heard, I think it was Alex Hermosi probably talked about it, is like, you never, like, when do you like quit or transition to something new? It's like once you basically are working on this one thing until you get to the point where it opens another door. Like this wholesale off market, real estate is just going to get you so far until like everything's working well, and then another door opens, and then you take that door and you go to the next thing. And that might be new construction. That might be, you might be crypto miner, have a metaverse or something. Who knows? If you watch any of that stuff, I don't know.
I do. I watch a little bit. It's just like I want to get into all this stuff. But again, it's just all shiny object syndrome for me right now, because I'm not going to ever be really good at this if I don't just put my head down and focus on this one thing.
And I think another thing too that was good to talk about is we're talking about that one thing, but that also goes for our employees, because every employee should have that one thing. Like today, we finally set it up, and that was yesterday actually. Our lead manager, our department head of the lead management, they are solely focused for the next month. All he's looking at, the numbers he's looking at, all the KPIs he's looking at, is calls to conversations. With the phone numbers been getting bad, everyone's having trouble with spam numbers, the carriers blocking them. We need to be at 25%, or we want to be at 25% calls to conversation. Right now, the last 30 days, we're at like 14%. So if we can change just that number right there, we saw an increase in our deals, like capacity to do deals. And our acquisition manager now, so they go together. So lead manager is the 25% calls to conversion, right? So you call 100 people, 25 answer. The acquisition manager now, we've had the worst closing rate of our life in the last month, and we're closing at like a 7 or 10% rate. Our guys are with appointment to close. right? So they get appointment. They only close 1 in 10, right? Or 1 in 12. And what we saw is if we literally just tweak 2 things, we'll instantly, double our deal size. If we can get to 15 to 20%, which we've done in the past. We've done 26% consistently. So if we can get back to that and get out of whatever rut we're in,
then we're
right now, those 2 things right there
deals.
they'll allow us to get with the same people on our team. They'll allow us to do 20 deals, was it?
20, 21, I think was the capacity.
21 at the same, so we based it on their calls. If they do 90 calls like they're doing today, and we just fix the one thing with lead management, get them to that 25%, and we fix that one thing with acquisition management, we'll close 21 deals.
Yeah. And to kind of walk it back, like the thought process behind it is like, so you have the same thing for like your core business. Like you go leads is marketing, like how many leads you generate, how many appointments did you set, how many contracts you get, all the way to, sold deals and revenue per deal, all those things. Right. But in each part, so like to appointments, like what gets us to appointment? Like what's a daily action and our lead managers are setting appointments. So like, we like calls, how many calls do we make? And then basically that's like, how many people do we talk to? And then how many appointments do we set? So those are our 3 things. And then like what dials can we turn in order to move those things up or down, based on like how many people are we talking to? If we can talk to more people, then we should get more appointments. So like we noticed, hey, when we were running on all cylinders, we were talking to like 25% of people picked up the phone. Now we're talking to 15% of people. So like we cut down 40%, and therefore, you're going to be 40% less efficient. But now you get that back up and it's like, wow, we're still doing the same amount of volume, but it's like way less efficient. So you just get it back and it's like, whoa, you just blow up.
And guess what some people would do in this spot, Clint, like I think we talked about it too, is like some people are looking at our numbers, and if they were us, they would say it's a marketing problem.
Or a people problem, like we don't have enough people.
Yeah, or you don't have enough people or marketing. What would they do? They would spend another $10,000 on marketing thinking it's going to make them more money. When all it is inside your business just working on conversions. That one number is going to change everything. And it's not unrealistic. We've done it before, but some people, again, like we might have thought about that 6-7 months ago, or maybe a year ago. Maybe we would have been like, hey, let's spend more money on marketing.
And to a certain point that works.
Yeah. But you need to get the most out of your marketing, and doing what you guys are doing is that. I'm definitely not at that level. I'm not looking. I don't know what numbers to look at yet, so I'm still figuring all that out where I'm at in the business. But yeah, for sure, I'm 100%.
I'm gonna make a YouTube video on this one though about our lead management.
For sure, there's gonna be some videos. But yeah, no, it's the focus on that one thing is super important, because think about it, like us, like if you have like as the people who are leading the team, you aren't really, if you're not involved in the day to day. You don't have that much going on. So you think everyone can do 10 things at a time, but you look at them, they still have all these, they have 6-7 hours of work a day. So for them to focus on one thing a week and they get one new thing a week done, that's a lot. So like, that's what we realize is like, we have like 4 things going at it. So like, how can we just say, look, the only thing that matters is this one number. Obviously, like, our lead manager guy, he still wants our 1 appointment a day, which is like our ultimate goal. But if he can get this other metric up, and that's all he focuses on, he's getting that up for the whole month, then I mean, like, it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Yeah, it's proven. It's proven that it works.
100%. But yeah, so I mean, that's a tangent that we went on, but the one thing is like definitely super vital for yourself too. And yeah,
agree,
for sure.
So Clint, you're flipping, you're going off doing that. And we talked about shiny object syndrome, how that can be very impactful. Let's go back into talking about these masterminds again. Like we talked about its return on investment, but what would you, I guess, if someone else, we're trying to figure out, like, if someone has that limiting belief in the masterminds, what would you tell them? I know we kind of hit on it a little bit, but like, give your example. I mean, you just jumped right in, but what would you tell them?
Man, that's so tough, because those limiting beliefs are tough to get over if that's like a habit of yours. Luckily, I've never really had that, and but I would just say, listen to people like myself that have been proof that it works. Because if I didn't, like I said, if I didn't join Ryan Pineada's mastermind back in November last year, there's no way I would be where I'm at. I spent $12,500 on that mentorship program, and we're going to do $1.1 million gross profit this year. And I can't imagine that number being, more than 100K if I didn't make that move. So,
Yeah,
I mean, it's just a game changer. It really is. If you're not willing to invest in yourself, what do you want out of life? So yeah,
sure.
I guess the answer to that is just, talk to people that have done it. Talk to people who've done it, because I mean, they're more experienced than you. If you don't believe them, that's your issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And like also like if you like something that I kind of just thinking about is if you're on the fence about joining the mastermind, like, I'd ask yourself like, one, what has you on the fence? Like take a step back and see like, is it because you don't feel confident in yourself being able to achieve what those other people have achieved? Is that why you have the limiting belief? And like, because internally, if you take a step back and really digest like, hey, why do I not want to do this when I know that I'm seeing other people having success? Like you have to have that emotional intelligence just to say, look, what is going on in my head and holding me back like from doing this? Because I mean, there's something, maybe financially it's kind of tight, maybe this and that. But I mean, like at the end of the day, if you can say, hey, I can put it all in black for myself because I know that I'm going to put in the work to make it all happen. Like you should be able to crush that belief yourself and like, snap your fingers because you fully believe in yourself.
Yeah. If you don't have that belief in yourself, you're gonna have a tough time doing something like this. And there are people that are gonna be more successful than others, even if they do the same exact route. That is a thing. But anyone can do this. And kind of when I was starting, I was comparing myself to people already in the business and what they were doing. I was thinking to myself, if that guy can do it, I can definitely do it. And I mean, seriously, like, and not being cocky, but that was my thoughts.
It's a good mentality.
Yeah. I think if you can't believe in yourself, then maybe it's not for you. Maybe you've got a lot of other things to work on other than doing business and growing a business if you can't believe in yourself. So
yeah, I think
for
that's
sure.
very important.
Yeah, I think that's like, and the biggest thing, like even in sports, like going back, like, think of when you're in a dry spell, like let's say you're playing baseball or whatever, and you're at the plate, and you're like just whiffing, going, you're like over, and then all of a sudden, like you just get you get a hit, and you're like your confidence just goes from here to like up to here, and then next thing you know, you string 3 back to back, and you're like, dude, like I'm crushing it, and then you're just going to tear. So it's the same thing like happens, and like this kind of thing is if you don't have the confidence yourself, you're gonna be like a mediocre version of yourself. But if you have that rock solid, like, dude, I'm a warrior, I can break through any wall I get hit on, then you're going to break through any wall you get hit with because it's just another thing that happens.
It's mindset.
Yeah, for sure. And when I first started in December, I remember it felt like that first deal was never going to come. Like it literally felt impossible, but I just kept working, kept putting in the work every day. That first deal came, and it was really hard to get there. Then the next deal came, it wasn't as hard. Then the next deal came, and it wasn't as hard. And that's just how it works. Like, once you get that first one, it's going to start, the ball's going to start rolling from there. And it really did for me. I got my first deal. It was in January. So I did a whole month of work with no deals, nothing to show for it. So you've got to put in work, and you got to be willing to put your head down and continue to go, even when you're failing at first. And I bought my first house in February. And then now, I'm at 30. So it's just awesome. Having that consistent action every day of putting in that time and putting in that effort every day to achieve a goal. I mean, that's what I did. I remember when I first started, I didn't know anything about it. And the first thing I did was like, I'm just going to network. I'm just going to call everyone. Anyone real estate related, I'm going to call everyone. I literally have over 150 realtors in my phone saved, and their phone number is saved as realtor and then their name. And this is a tip for anyone on the call of how to pick up deals. What I did is, so I called all those people in that first month, introduced myself, saved their phone number as realtor and then their name. And then every month, and I still to this day do this, I send them a text. Hey, this is Clint again. Just wanted to check in to see if you had any fixer-upper properties or any you need a cash buyer on. I bought 30 properties this year, and I send some sort of text every month to that whole list. And I've gotten, I don't know, maybe 8 or 9 deals from doing that this year. So yeah. And so some like really big spreads on some of them. So You don't all have to spend money on marketing to get deals. There's other ways to do it. And that was just pure hustle. Just me, calling those realtors, cold calling those realtors, introduce myself, and then consistent follow up with them.
Yeah. So I guess take it back, because you're like talking about not spending money in networking and stuff. Is that how you got started, or what were you?
So I hired a VA right off the bat, and had zero idea what I was doing. Like literally had no clue. Bought a list, got call tools as my dialer. Had no idea what I was doing, and I wasn't very successful at it to begin with. It wasn't going well. I felt like I was spending money that I was just wasting money, and that's how marketing is. If you are only in it for a few weeks, like you're probably not going to get a deal out of it. Like you've got to be consistent with it. You've got to, continue to work at it and critique what you're doing. But in the beginning, I was just like, I'm just going to hustle, network with every kid. I'm going to meet every wholesaler. I'm going to get on Facebook and post. I'm going to call every realtor. And that's literally what started the success for me in real estate, was just getting out there and networking as much as possible. I had lunches with people. I remember my first lender I got, or the bank that I got, I got a great rate from, that I'm not really using anymore, but I had a lunch with her because she was the VP of the bank, was a flipper. Talked with her a while. She recommended me going through their bank for lending, and she also ended up giving me a deal. So she flips like only 3 or 4 properties a year, and she had one going on at the time. She's like, I can't handle this one. Do you want it? And I took it. Ended up making like $60K on that one deal. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, and that's it from another flipper, a so-called competitor. So. Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, I think that's powerful. I mean, like just having the networks, because it's gonna keep on giving. I mean, they're gonna still get the same amount of leads coming in, and just as you do the off market stuff too, it's just gonna keep on piling in from the back end too.
Yeah. So. And just to go off, like just hustling for deals, post on social media, let people know what you're doing. I've gotten several deals just from me posting real estate content, and a friend reaches out and said, oh, my neighbor's husband just died. She needs to sell and move somewhere smaller or to a nursing home. She needs to sell quick. She needs a solution. And, I've gotten several deals that way as well, just from me posting on social media. You don't always have to spend money to get deals. And a lot of people have that misbelief that they need money to get in this business. You really don't.
Is that like posting on your personal page, just like, hey, this is what I'm doing, this is how I help people, yada yada yada?
And it's not even like that. It's just literally me posting that I'm flipping houses, posting at the rehabs, going to the houses and whatnot. I literally picked up my biggest deal that way. It was a girl I went to high school with. It won't be my biggest deal by the end of the year because I've got one closing that I'm going to make 6 figures on. But I'm making $83,000 on this house that literally just referred to me from a friend. She responded to my Instagram story and said, hey, my neighbor, I hadn't talked to the girl really since high school. And she said, hey, my neighbor, husband just died and she needs to move out. Do you want to see if it could work for you? I went over there, met with them, got a deal. And like I said, I'm going to make $83,000 on that one deal.
That's crazy.
Yep. And it's just for me posting content, like not anything crazy, just posting about real estate every now and then. I'm not all in on social media yet because I'm really focused on this. One day I plan to really try to work on social media really hard and really build a following that way. But for right now, I'm just, posting stuff when I see it, when I'm at a house, take pictures, or now I have my project manager send me pictures, when he goes to a house. So that's super valuable as well.
For sure. Well, I guess like real quick too is like, what is your team looking like for y'all to be doing 30 plus deals, or, this year?
Yeah. So I hired my first employee other than the VA I have that I hired back in December. I still have him. He's still cold calling for me. I hired my first employee in June, and he's just a rock star. He's basically like a partner to me. Just has the drive, treats the business as his own. So he's in my COO position now. Before it was just kind of me and him just working, to get things done. There wasn't a lot of structure. It was just literally, hey, let's do this, or hey, you need to do this. Hey, I need to do this, whatever. Since then, I actually hired his dad as my project manager. So instead of me going to these rehabs and dealing with the contractors, which I don't really like doing anyway. I don't like having to go look at these houses and talk to the contractors and negotiate and all that. I don't really care to do that. So I hired his dad, who had experience as a GC and had always done all the work himself. And now he's managing, subbing out everything on my houses, saving me a lot of money and time. And so that was a key position I filled, project management. And then now, as of a month and a half ago, I hired 2 people to move in for acquisitions. And I ended up, after my meeting with y'all, I moved into acquisitions and I changed them to leads managers. And that's been a game changer so far, just because they didn't really have the experience. And I plan to eventually move one of them into acquisitions if one, rises to the top, is doing better than the other one. But for right now, I'm doing acquisitions, and I have my wife as a transaction coordinator. She comes in 3 days a week and does that. So that's what the team's looking like now. We hired a new VA for texting. Actually, this week we've been onboarding her this week, and we're doing it through launch control like you guys. And so that's what it looks like currently. I hope to get really good at wholesaling and have to hire a dispo manager down the road. And I hope to be, not working as much in the business so I can start working on some other things. But for right now, I'm like all in, working all the time. I'm not taking any days off. I'm the first one here, first one to leave, because I'm really focused on just building this right now. And down the road, there'll be opportunities to try other things, but I'm really focused, like we said before, on getting this one thing down.
Yeah. And I think that's crazy. When we left, me and Gina, I mean, we were super, super impressed. One, we're grateful that you thought we were good enough to come on and help you guys out. But 2, we're super impressed with what you've done just like this short time. I mean, I guess it's been a year, but still, man, y'all got a spectacular team. And honestly, like the part where we're hitting on earlier is like transitioning from open door, even though it's crushing and all this, to going direct to seller. Like it's just, I mean, it's impressive that you're, on that track. So, I mean, I think like you said, it comes back to education, and one, you're a smart guy yourself. It's not, don't give other people too much credit.
Yeah. No, I mean, if I didn't hire you guys to come in my office and teach me my sales process, there's no way that we'd be in the position we are. And, you guys did that a few weeks ago, or I don't know. Was it 2-3 weeks ago? Something like that.
Gina, you're muted.
I didn't even know I've been muted this whole time. Have I been muted?
I was wondering why I was the only one talking.
I've been talking to myself, but no, yeah, it's only been a couple weeks.
Yeah, and it's just been. Yeah. I mean, we would have been spinning our wheels. We would have been wasting money on marketing. We wouldn't have made the change to move me in acquisitions because my employees weren't ready to be acquisitions. They were better than leads manager. So all those little changes that you guys came in and told me to do, I mean, there's no telling what it's going to be, what we're going to be doing a month from now, 2 months from now, 3 months from now. And if I didn't hire you guys, I'd probably be in the same position that I am now. Like, we may get a few deals from it, but there's no way we would convert them the way we're going to because you guys came in and showed me your process. And
appreciate
that. Sure. No, I'm all about, if you can find someone to teach you to do something, I'm all about paying for it, because it's like you were talking about earlier. It's an investment. It's gonna help you. It's gonna help you shorten that curve and get you to where you want to go quicker.
Yeah, all you need is one thing from them. I see, even if you're paying $1,000 an hour or more than that, right? And this is just for everyone listening. You need just one thing, and we're lucky, we're blessed, we're in this business, where we can make 20 grand on a deal. That's average, right? 15 grand on a deal, that's average. So you really just need to learn one thing. That 1 hour, fool of a person. If you learn one thing, you just learn the sales process in 1 hour. All it's going to have to do is make one deal, and you made 15x your return on investment.
Yep.
So
yeah, I was interviewing for Collective Genius last week, and I told him, I was like, as long as I can learn 2 or 3 things out of this, I'm all good with it. And he was like, you're going to learn way more than 2 or 3 things. And I was like, I'm all for it. Let's do it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what Leon talks about. Like, it's just, I mean, like you just need 2 or 3 things, like you were saying too, Glenn. Like that's it, and you would be 3x or whatever. Investment.
Yeah, and I still got, I've had some success to start. A lot of it was due to the market, but I've still got a long way to go. Like I'm nowhere near where I need to be. I've still got a ton of work to do to get, the business. But in a year or so, I think I'm going to look back at this and be like, I'm in a way different place than I was.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like every 3 months for us. We're like, dude, we were so stupid 3 months ago. We were idiots.
Yeah. Yep.
But you guys,
that's a
if
fun
anyone
part.
watching too, please leave some questions in here. We got a couple more minutes left. And so yeah, Clint, where could people reach out to you too?
Yeah. You guys can find me on Instagram and Instagram at Clint Closer. And I got that name. You know, I didn't give myself that name, but everyone in the Future Flipper program started calling me it. And then they were like, you need to change your Instagram to it. So I didn't give that name to myself, but
Yeah, that's all right.
I've kind of ran with it a little bit. But so you can find me at Clint Closer on Instagram. You can find me at Clint Cooper on Facebook. Anyone watching, feel free to reach out. I'm an open book. Be happy to help you with any questions you have or anything you need.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, we gotta get you like a neon sign in the back.
Clint Closer on the back.
Clint Closer.
Fresh.
Yeah, for sure.
Like that. Clint, hold on. While we're still on here, I actually got a funny thing to ask. Where did you get your hats done? Because when we saw your hats, me and Chandler were asking, just reminded me of that when you were.
I'll get it to you guys after the show. I don't know.
Yeah.
Tyler, my COO, he orders them. So
yeah, we need Tyler. I need to find that.
I got you. I'll get you all a link after.
Yeah, we gotta get the good hats
for sure. What, have y'all ordered hats yet or no?
I've ordered hats, but like I always had to I get it from like a wholesale, obviously like some cheap place, and it's like you got to embroider it yourself, and no one I had would do the embroidery and stuff.
Yeah, no, definitely go with the company I use is great.
I like those hats. Yeah.
Yeah.
High tangent.
Where do you get the sweatshirts from?
I'll give you. So it's with that company. It's like a wholesale company, but I use like my friend's mom's login.
Oh, gotcha.
I don't even know what it's called. Actually,
you buy the sweatshirts and send it to like an embroidery shop.
Like wholesale, yeah. Then I send it to an embroidery shop.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's too much work for me.
Yeah, exactly. I know. That's why I don't like doing it.
Come back already done.
Yeah, exactly. It's a pain in the butt. But
we get some like Lululemon swag.
Damn, we should look that up if they have it.
Oh, you can get anything swagged out. Yeah. Especially if you have an embroidery person, you can just buy whatever. I used to, for my last company, we used to buy all Nike gear. We take it to a guy, drop off a bunch of stuff, and get it all.
Yeah, why not? I guess. Yeah. So if there's not any last questions here, anything you want to leave the listeners with, Clint?
Just take action and focus on that one thing. That's what's helped me the most. Invest in your education, take action, and focus on that one thing. That's all I got.
I think that's big right there. Focus on that one thing, guys, and do like what Clint said. Take that action on that one thing, and don't get sidetracked. Don't allow yourself to get with that shiny object syndrome that we all fall victim to. Everyone here,
Yeah, and put your head down and go. And when you get to roadblocks and fail, just keep going. It's going to seem like that that first deal is never going to come, but it will. If you keep putting in that work, literally anyone in this world can find a deal at some point. If you put in the work, anyone can. So
just a matter of time. And I think Brent Daniels, I remember specifically saying this one of his videos, and this is probably 2019, 2018 when I first started, is I remember seeing him say, like, look, if you're in this business active and you're constantly marketing, you're gonna every quarter get a 50 grand hit. You will get a deal that comes up in a 50 grand hit, even not even just a deal. Like if you're actively marketing, intentionally marketing, you're going to get you're going to find these home run hits. So just keep going after. You might get a 5 grand, a 6, a 12. We'll get that hit coming in. You just got to keep staying consistent.
Yeah. I think I'm going to average right at close to 50K per deal on the year, which is wild. Yeah.
That's sick.
Thank you to Open Door.
Say thanks to Open Door.
Shout out to the boys.
So many of those deals were bad, and they ended up buying them anyway. And I'd make 50K out of nowhere. So
yeah, I don't know how they did it, but I'm not complaining.
I'm not either.
Won't say nothing.
I'm gonna ride it till the wheels fall off.
Exactly. But again, guys, stay tuned next week. I think next week we have Eric Brewer coming on. He does 400 deals a year. He's probably actually going to be up to 600 this year. Turnkey, wholesale, fix and flip,
retail
all that
side.
Novation.
They got it all.
I'm gonna be tuning into that one as well for sure.
Yeah, come to that one. Bring all your questions, and guys, we'll see you next week.
Yeah.